Welcome to the Gavel. I am Benny Ark. It was quiet and almost empty in the National Assembly complex on Wednesday as the enforcement of the strike action embarked upon by labor unions on the 14th of November continued. The union strike action was raised as a matter of urgent national importance. Let's take a look at the report. It was quiet and almost empty in the National Assembly complex on Wednesday as the enforcement of the strike action embarked upon by labor unions on the 14th of November continued. This, however, did not affect plenary as lawmakers in the Great Chamber convened to commence legislative proceedings, albeit in scanty numbers.
Mr. Speaker, if you will permit me.
Not surprisingly, the strike action was raised as a matter of urgent national importance.
Mr. Speaker, you did not come to the House today for the fancy of it. You came because there is a burning issue in Nigeria with the NLC, who has threatened yesterday about going on a massive national strike. And you came for us to dialogue. It will be unworthy to leave this House today without looking into these issues. So, Mr. Speaker, because I want others to contribute to this debate, I want to pray that the National Labour Congress, the NLC, and all the unions in Nigeria, that they should trust us once again, that we will use diplomacy where necessary to engage as usual. They should trust us again to come together to find a lasting solution for their pain. We are not saying they are not right. We are not saying they are wrong. But we are saying we can dialogue. And as their representative, they trusted us to come on board to dialogue.
As we speak, the NSA has confirmed that the attackers of Ajaero have been arrested. If truly that is the bone of contention why they are on strike, that's what should suffice. They call off the strike immediately. It has been established as we speak that NSA have arrested the attackers of Ajaero.
We have institution and law enforcement agencies that if there is a problem between the president of the Nigerian Labour, the police are there to investigate. Other institutions of government established by policies and law of the parliament are there to investigate anything that happened between the Nigerian Labour leader president and some citizens of Imo State. This should not be the basis of suffocating government activities. It should not be the basis of shutting down Nigeria. It is high time we speak the truth. It is high time we tell the Nigerian Labour president that he cannot use his personal grievances with some citizens or some government to suffocate activities of government in Nigeria. Let him fight for Nigerian people, not fight for himself.
Lawmakers referred to the judgment of the Industrial Court restraining the labor unions from embarking on strike.
Today, they have flouted this court judgment, and I believe the executive should just file a contempt proceedings against them and bring anybody who has flouted the judgment of the court to account. I believe this is the route to go, and I believe as a parliament we should be seen to be following due process.
It is unacceptable to the Constitution and to the conscience of the Nigerian people that the labor leaders in this country will choose to cherry pick which decisions of the court to abide with, and also infringe on the fundamental human right of fellow citizens to free movement. Nigerian citizens have rights enshrined in this Constitution to move freely, and that freedom is being abridged by the labor unions under the national president acting in this manner. And I want to submit, Mr. Speaker, that this matter should be left in the hand of the court of the law, as has been done, to ensure that the labor union abide by the decision of the court.
The reason why people are not respecting court order, let's not flog it too much, is because government itself is not respecting many court orders. So everybody is not taking it as the norms, of the day. If not ordinarily, where the rule of law to be in operation, nobody, should be able to refuse, not to obey, court order.
The House then adjourned plenary to allow for prompt interaction among the leadership of the National Assembly to urgently intervene in the matter and avert further escalation. Similarly, upon resumption of the plenary in the Senate on Wednesday, the President of the Senate tendered an apology for the delayed commencement caused by the strike action by the labor groups. Consequently, the NLC and TUC protest was tabled as a matter of priority national interest.
Some of us found it difficult to access the National Assembly. And right now, our aides are not in our offices. So the intervention of the National Assembly is very apt and timely. And instead of the Senate intervening, I will want the National Assembly to intervene jointly with the House of Representatives.
It is wrong to have attacked somebody for protesting, as they did. But it is equally wrong for myself and others in 35 states to be punished for what happened in Imo.
We have obligation not only to intervene, but to do everything we can to find solution. But also take advantage of this moment to appeal to the federal government to honor their own obligation with regards to the 35,000 naira increase across the board is implemented by the 36 states and the 774 local governments.
We urge the Nigerian Labour Congress, the TUC, as well as all protesting unions to immediately call a stop to the ongoing strike in the national interest. Prayer 2, mandate the Senate President and the Senate leadership to immediately summon a meeting with the protesting union leaders with a view to resolving the issues amicably. Those in support of prayer 2 say aye, and those against say nay. The ayes have it.
Like the House, the Senate adjourned with the hopes that their intervention will engender a solution to alleviate the suffering of Nigerians. Lawmakers in the upper chamber converged for plenary for the last time this week on Thursday, and the security situation in the country was prioritized. The lawmakers want the heads of security agencies to appear before them to provide answers to questions on insecurity in the country. Here is the report.
Lawmakers in the upper chamber converged for plenary for the last time this week on Thursday, and the security situation in the country was prioritized. The legislators want the heads of security agencies to appear before them to provide answers to the questions on insecurity.
Urgent need for the improvement of coordination and synergy between Nigerian security forces and agencies to help strengthen and win the fight against insecurity in the nation.
Unless we try to do something different and tell them and ask them questions, what is their problem? This is what is happening in the nation. Why are we not getting improvement? Why are we? Is it about funding? Is it about personnel? Is it about logistics? What is it? What is the problem? Sir, if you go around this city, by 12 o'clock at night, run down the city, you will never see one policeman. After 12, one policeman. Everybody goes home by 12. Everybody. And you know we're politicians, so we do our things usually at night. And you go there, and you know you are on your own. You know you are on your own. That is within the metropolis here. But you cannot even venture to go to Kubwa or Gorimpa by 10 o'clock. You call Uber, they will tell you they are not going there. Sir, we can't continue like this.
The motion has been moved that we invite the security chiefs, Inspector General of Police, the Army chiefs, Defense chiefs, the Director General of SSS, the Civil Defense chief, and other gun-wielding security agencies, their heads and service chiefs, to a closed-door session with the Nigerian Senate to discuss holistically the issue of securing the nation, protecting lives and properties, as soon as possible.
Seconded to the second leg.
Meanwhile, for the final plenary session of the week in the House of Representatives, a sectorial debate had been scheduled, beginning with the security sector. This is the idea of the lower chamber to address challenges confronting the various sectors of the country. The order paper for Thursday was made light to accommodate the debate.
I rise to move that the sectorial debates pursuant to Order 17 Rules 1-3 of the Standing Orders of the House of Representatives involving the Chief of Defense Staff, Chief of Army Staff, Chief of Naval Staff, Chief of Air Staff, and the Inspector General of Police should commence as in the order paper.
The representatives of the service chiefs and the Inspector General of Police were led into the chamber. At this point, a constitutional point of order was, however, raised by the Deputy Speaker, who appeared displeased that the security heads did not come in person.
The House has extended invitation to the heads of the security agencies, not for the purposes of investigation, but for dialogue and explanation of the things around that space. It behoves the agencies to send their #1 officers, because the Parliament is the #1 organ of government. The gentlemen they have sent have a great profile, great pedigree, have served the nation in various capacities, are competent to discuss with us. But in this case, based on the provisions of 88 and 89, it has not been satisfied before the House that their top officers, their #1 officers, should not appear before the Parliament. Mr. Speaker, I want to move that as it has been the tradition of this House, when we invite chief executives, be it private sector or public sector, they must come in person. I want to pray that we don't break this sacred tradition of our House, lest we be taken for granted.
Members of the House of Representatives, particularly the chairman of the security committees, supported his motion.
Those in support of this motion should say aye. I'm not hearing you very well. Oh. Those in support of this motion should say aye. Those against should say nay. The ayes have it. Our dear brothers, you have heard from the House in an emphatic manner that this House does not encourage, does not accept representation, particularly at this high-level engagement. We thank you for coming. Please convey our message to your service chiefs that we understand the tight schedules they have, and we are willing to make an adjustment to reschedule this engagement to Tuesday next week for them to appear in person.
Lawmakers are concerned that the service chiefs had honored their invitation for confirmation of their appointments and supplementary budget defense just a few weeks ago, and now wonder why an invitation to address the country's security situation would be treated with levity.
Thank you so much for watching. The House of Representatives has resolved to carry out an inquiry into the circumstances surrounding the visa cancellation of 264 Nigerians by the Saudi Arabian government. Let's check out this report.
The House of Representatives has resolved to carry out an inquiry into the circumstances surrounding the visa cancellation of 264 Nigerians by the Saudi Arabian government. Saudi Arabian authorities cancelled the visa of all the 264 passengers airlifted by Nigeria's major carrier Air Peace on arrival at Jeddah in Saudi Arabia. This resolution was reached after considering a motion of urgent public importance sponsored by 4 lawmakers calling for the protection of the image of the nation. Meanwhile, the House is to investigate the alleged non-remittance by the NNPCL of over 34.2 billion naira to the Federation account from the Nigeria liquefied natural gas from 2004 to 2021. Honourable Sani Bala, who moved the motion, alleges that the money has been diverted by the NNPCL.
The House also confirmed that the NLNG dividends and other related payments have remained an issue since 2020, as payments have been warehoused in bank accounts designated by the NNPCL and not to the Federation account. The House also concerned that the claim by the NNPCL that LNG accounts are on Treasury single account domicile with the Central Bank of Nigeria and cannot be diverted have been alleged to be false, as LNG had in 2019 and 2020 clearly stated in the document release.
In the Senate, lawmakers convened for the first plenary of the week. The leader of the Senate, Senator Opeyemi Bamidele, presented an Electricity Act Amendment Bill for concurrence.
Electricity Act Amendment Bill 2023 HB 38 was read the first time on Tuesday, 10th October 2023. This bill seeks to amend the Electricity Act 2023 to address the concern of host communities that were not contemplated in the Act.
The Committee of the Whole considered the Electricity Act Amendment Bill 2023 and approved as follows. Long title, as recommended. Number of clauses 1 to 2 as recommended. Interpretation, clause nil. Short title, clause 3 as recommended. Schedules nil. Explanatory memorandum nil.
Meanwhile, outside the chamber, the Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister for the Economy, Mr. Wale Edun, disclosed that the country cannot rely on borrowing to fund the 2024 budget. The minister stated this when he appeared before the Joint Senate Committee interrogating the 2024 to 2026 Medium-Term Expenditure Framework and Fiscal Strategy paper.
Our attempt and our direction of travel is to reduce reliance on borrowing, reduce the quantum and the percentage of deficit financing in the 2024 budget. And as you know, you have all the figures. Our debt servicing, pushing 98% of revenue, government revenue. The last thing you can think of is to pile on even more debt. And as you have just rightly said, what is the answer? The number one answer is revenue.
On Constituency Focus this week, we speak with Honourable Laruna, representing Surulere 2 Federal Constituency, Lagos State. He speaks on the challenges facing his constituents and also his strategic plans to solving them.
My constituents is Surulere 2. It's densely populated, and while during the electioneering campaign, there was a lot of things we saw while doing that. We found out that there's a need to put in proper perspective their needs in terms of short, medium, long term. The short term are the things that they require in terms of how best can we facilitate in terms of legislation and in terms of policies, those short-term needs for the constituents. Critical issues like flooding, educational issues like how best can we have a conducive environment for learning, and these are things we saw while engaging our people, that there's a need to have a model that will suit them, that they will be able to actually appreciate that the foundation for any society is education, and if we get that right, we'll be able to lean on so many other things in terms of development. So, and other issues that arise, health issues in the health sector too, we looked at how best we can facilitate those things that are required in terms of medical outreach, medical centers for the densely populated area. Now, I can tell you, if you take, for instance, in a community like Orile, we have 6 communities. In a community like Orile that's densely populated, the need for health centers is huge, and the need to have that in the area to be able to leverage on is so large that one is not even adequate, and these are areas that our social responsibilities would need to make sure that our people are well entrenched into it, and so many other areas. Our social responsibility in terms of how do we take care of our aged folks, from the widows, the widowers, and those people who are out of jobs who need to be empowered. These are part of the challenges we saw along the line, and how best we can put them in the short term, put palliatives in place so that could help in solving the issues that we see along the line. So these are some of the few challenges that we're faced with, and we're working assiduously. As soon as we got in, we laid in the floor of the House critical bills that can help in maybe driving some of those policies. We have a flood insurance policy that has gone into first reading, and we had also proposed an establishment bills to have a medical center in Orili that I had just mentioned, and several others in the other communities. As a representative, we are the voice of the people, and what we've done is listen feedbacks, and so those feedbacks are the ones that would help us articulate how we would put in place short-term measures. I'll give you an example. There's a yearning among our youths for more of activities, how to drive various activities, and over the past 2 or 3 months, we've been engaging empowering youths in startups, in startup businesses, and we've had empowerment programs along that line. We've had 3 empowerments programs that is tailored for the youths and the women. These are basically short-term measures that we can quickly put in place, because if that informal sector of our women can run, we can start putting things in place and can see things working. The midterm is to see that physical infrastructures, we facilitate physical infrastructures to drive some of these things, to make sure that the constituency is at the level where you can see it's up to a standard where the dividends of democracy can begin to trickle in. So these are part of the things we're putting in place and trying to see how best we can leverage on policies like the flood stuff I just mentioned. It's critical in our area, and wherever there's flood crisis, it's always a problem for us. And I know that with this now we can forecast. We can do a pre-forecast of flooding and post-forecasting of the flooding, and be able to have fund managers to take care of reliefs as and when due.
That's our time on the Gavel this week. We would love to hear from you. Please send us an email at thegavel@channelstv.com. Till the Gavel comes your way next week, same time, stay well and be well.